The night the moon disappeared, nobody noticed it at first. Not immediately. The Earth continued spinning through space exactly as it always had. Cities glowed beneath clouds, cars moved through wet streets, ocean waves rolled slowly toward sleeping coastlines. Airplanes crossed the sky carrying thousands of passengers who never imagined they were living through the final normal moments in human history. At 2:17 a.m. UTC, the moon vanished. No explosion, no warning, no sound. 1 second, it existed beside Earth exactly where it had been for billions of years. The next second, it was gone. The space beside Earth became empty. At first, the universe itself seemed confused. The oceans continued moving for a few moments, as though gravity had not yet realized something impossible had happened. Satellites kept orbiting, animals remained asleep. Most humans continued dreaming peacefully beneath dark skies. But then, strange things began happening. An airline pilot flying above the Pacific Ocean looked out the cockpit window and frowned. The sky looked wrong. Not darker, wrong. Like a familiar face missing its eyes. He checked the time. There should have been moonlight reflecting across the clouds. Instead, there was only blackness. Thousands of kilometers away, an astronomer working late inside an observatory in Chile adjusted her telescope after losing visual contact with the moon. She assumed the tracking system had malfunctioned. Then she checked another telescope. Nothing. She recalibrated the system. Still nothing. Her heartbeat accelerated. Within minutes, observatories across Earth began contacting each other. Visual contact lost. No lunar signature detected. Orbit appears empty. At NASA headquarters, engineers stared silently at incoming data. The moon's gravitational influence had disappeared. Completely. Computer systems started producing errors because the calculations made no sense. One scientist whispered the words nobody else wanted to say. The moon is gone. By sunrise, panic had spread across the entire planet. News channels interrupted broadcasts worldwide. Emergency alerts flooded phones. People stepped outside, staring upward in confusion. Children pointed at the sky, asking where the moon had gone. Nobody had an answer. Religious leaders called emergency prayers. Governments held secret meetings. Military satellites scanned space for evidence of attack. Conspiracy theories exploded online. Some people believed aliens had stolen it. Others claimed the moon had never been real. Some thought the apocalypse had finally arrived. But scientists understood something horrifying. Earth was never meant to exist without the moon, and humanity had just lost the single most important object in its sky. The first visible effects appeared in the oceans. At first, the changes were subtle. Tides became weaker, harbors behaved strangely, fishing boats reported unusual currents. Coastal ecosystems began reacting almost immediately. The moon controlled most of Earth's tides through gravity. Without it, the oceans lost the force that had shaped them for billions of years. Marine biologists watched in horror as entire species became disoriented. Sea turtles that relied on moonlight to navigate beaches became lost. Coral spawning cycles failed. Whales drifted away from ancient migration routes. Predators and prey suddenly lost the natural rhythms evolution had built into their survival. And then came the darkness. Humanity had forgotten how dark night could truly become. For thousands of years, moonlight had illuminated forests, deserts, mountains, and oceans. Even ancient humans walking through wilderness at midnight had rarely experienced complete darkness. Now the nights felt prehistoric. In rural regions, people could barely see beyond their own homes after sunset. Power outages became terrifying. Entire towns disappeared into black voids whenever electricity failed. Predators adapted faster than humans. Wolves moved closer to cities. Large cats hunted more aggressively. Bird migration patterns collapsed. Insects swarmed unpredictably. And slowly, almost invisibly, human psychology began breaking. Doctors noticed rising anxiety across the globe. Sleep disorders increased dramatically. Depression rates climbed. People spent hours staring into the empty sky. Something deep inside the human mind could not accept the absence. Because the moon was more than an object, it was humanity's oldest companion. Every civilization in history had lived beneath it. Ancient hunters followed it across grasslands. Egyptian priests worshipped it. Poets wrote about it. Lovers kissed beneath it. Astronauts walked upon it. For all of human history, no matter who you were or where you lived, every person on Earth shared the same moon. And now it was gone. Weeks passed. The world became quieter. Not physically, emotionally. People stopped laughing as much. The night sky felt empty in a way humans could not emotionally explain. Then the climate began changing. The moon had stabilized Earth's axial tilt for billions of years. Like a gravitational anchor, it helped keep the planet's rotation relatively steady. Without it, Earth slowly began wobbling. At first, the effects were tiny. Scientists hoped the planet might remain stable enough for civilization to survive. They were wrong. Within months, weather systems started behaving unpredictably. Winter storms reached tropical regions. Heat waves destroyed cities that had never experienced extreme temperatures. Ocean currents shifted, rainfall patterns collapsed. Crops failed across multiple continents. Food shortages spread. Governments declared climate emergencies. Millions of people migrated north searching for stable environments. Borders became battlefields. Wars erupted over water. And above it all, the empty sky watched silently. 10 months after the moon vanished, the first megastorm formed over the Pacific Ocean. Meteorologists initially believed their instruments were malfunctioning. The storm was too large, too organized, too powerful. It stretched across thousands of kilometers. Lightning storms burned continuously inside it for days. Winds destroyed islands completely. Entire fleets disappeared beneath waves taller than skyscrapers. The storm eventually struck the western coast of North America. Cities vanished underwater. Millions died. The world finally understood the truth. Human civilization was beginning to collapse. Years passed. Humanity adapted the way humans always do. Massive underground cities were constructed. Artificial lighting systems recreated simulated moonlight to reduce psychological damage. Scientists created orbital mirrors attempting to replace lunar illumination during nighttime. But nothing felt real anymore. Children born after the disappearance grew up in a different world, a darker world. They learned about the moon from photographs. Many thought the images were fake. Teachers described it carefully. There used to be a giant glowing world in the sky. Students would stare in disbelief. Why did it disappear? Nobody could answer. The question haunted humanity more than the climate disasters. Because moons do not simply vanish. Something had happened. Something impossible. Then, 12 years after the disappearance, scientists in Antarctica detected an anomaly beyond Neptune. At first, it appeared to be a gravitational distortion. Something massive was moving through the outer solar system, but telescopes could not see it. There was no visible object, no reflected light, nothing, only warped gravity. The discovery remained classified for 3 days. Then it leaked online. Panic exploded across the planet again, because the object's trajectory aligned perfectly with the exact moment the moon vanished. Something had entered the solar system, and something had taken the moon. Scientists began calculating its size. The results were horrifying. The invisible object was larger than Earth, and it was slowing down, not drifting, arriving. Humanity entered an age of fear unlike anything in history. Financial systems collapsed, governments imposed martial law, religious movements spread across continents. Entire populations abandoned cities believing the end had come. Every night, billions stared upward into the darkness, watching, waiting, praying. Then the stars began disappearing, one by one. Tiny sections of the sky vanished as something enormous moved silently between Earth and distant starlight. People could not see the object itself, only its absence, like reality had been torn open. Astronomers attempted to image it directly. Most suffered psychological breakdowns. Several committed suicide. One scientist left behind a final message before taking his own life. It is not a machine. It is not alive. It is something worse. Nobody understood what he meant. Then the object arrived. It appeared above the Pacific Ocean as a distortion in space itself. Aircraft immediately lost navigation. Satellites shut down. Power grids failed across continents. The oceans began rising unnaturally beneath the invisible gravitational force. And then humanity finally saw it. Not clearly. No human brain could fully process its shape. Some described it as a shadow wrapped around a star. Others claimed it resembled an impossible geometric structure. Many saw different forms entirely. It looked like reality itself was bending around something too large to exist. The object stopped between Earth and the sun. For 13 minutes, the entire world fell into silence. Every electrical system on Earth died simultaneously. No internet, no lights, no engines, no sound except the wind and the oceans. Human civilization became primitive again in an instant. And during that silence, humanity heard something. A sound coming from the sky. Deep, ancient, impossible. Every person experienced it differently. Some heard whispers, some heard music, some heard voices from dead relatives, others heard screaming. But everyone understood the same message. You were not supposed to survive this long. People collapsed in terror. Many went insane instantly. Then the object moved, slowly, quietly, without violence. It drifted away from Earth and disappeared back into deep space. Power eventually returned, but humanity never recovered, because the greatest fear was no longer the disappearance of the moon. The greatest fear was the realization that something out there had noticed Earth, something ancient, something powerful enough to erase worlds. And for reasons humanity could not understand, it had decided to let us live. For now. Years later, people still gather outside at night, staring upward into the empty darkness. The oceans are quieter now. The climate is harsher. Civilization is smaller. The world feels older. And every human being alive shares the same fear before sleep. Because somewhere beyond the stars, something impossible is moving silently through the universe, watching, waiting. And Earth no longer has its moon.